Back to an instant-ish reaction edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite. Richie, we had a big recruiting weekend on the Banks this past weekend. It ended up with 3 commitments, all from the same high school in Florida. So let's just start it right off the top. The first commitment was from offensive lineman Raynor Andrews. He's a kid who he hasn't been playing football for very long. He came in from the Bahamas a couple years ago. He's at Miami Norland High School. Tell us a little bit about this kid.
Yeah, so Raynor Andrews actually moved to the U.S. In July of 2022. So he hasn't even been in the States for a year now.
Wow.
He just picked up football pretty quickly. He just tried it out, and they saw his size, and were like, "Hey, dude, we'll make something work out of you." He's a 6'5", 6'5.5", 315, probably give or take a couple pounds, I would say. But he's a massive lineman. He's a former basketball player, so he's pretty athletic. When he moved to the States in July, it's not like he just moved strictly for football. He moved to the States with his family, and then all of a sudden, he just kind of picked up football like a couple months later, and so he hasn't even been playing for close to a year. So he's very raw. He's still learning the game. Zero technique. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but like he needs. Like, you watch the tape and it looks like he's playing on a Pop Warner field. Like, this is a different high school than what he started at last year. He was originally at Miami Jackson High School. Now he's at Miami Norland High School. So this bump in competition should help us get a better gauge of how good he truly is or how good he could be. I think he has a pretty high ceiling. It's just going to take a lot of teaching. Which is fine because linemen usually come in, they kind of take a couple years anyway, which we've seen with the 2022 class that everyone was hyped about. It's still going to take a couple years no matter how highly ranked you are. But yeah, no, he's got really good size. He packs a mean punch, and he's pretty athletic, which is attributed to that basketball background. So I think it's a pretty good get early on. Yeah, I mean, I never really heard of a Bahamas native playing college football from what I know, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, none that I can think of right off the top of my head. So just a good athlete, raw, just started playing football. What position do you expect him to play? He's listed at tackle. Do you think he sticks at tackle, or do you think he gets kicked inside?
It's close. I could see him playing guard because I know we have him 6'6", 315. I don't know how accurate that is because I don't think he was at our rivals camp in Miami, which just sucks because it's down the street. But yeah, no, I could if he's legit 6'6", 315, I'd probably say he'll stay at tackle. But if he's a little bit smaller than that, I'm gonna say he's probably gonna bump into guard. His footwork is iffy. Like I said, he needs to work on a lot, so it's gonna take a couple years for him. But definitely lineman, obviously.
Yep.
So that makes 2 in this class now with him and Kenny Jones.
Yeah, and this is a guy who had a decent offer list. You never really know what's committable, but his rivals profile lists Akron, Arkansas State, Colorado, Florida State, USF, Syracuse, Toledo, UCF, West Virginia, and Western Kentucky. So they beat out a decent amount of competition. Is this kid totally shutting it down now? He's done taking visits?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I was talking to, I don't even know what you call him, his advisor, I guess, because every kid has one now, apparently.
Yep.
But yeah, his advisor said that all the other visits are shut down. Everything's done. He's committed. He's good to go. So yeah, they'll kind of go from there. They're probably going to want to add, I would say, probably 2 more linemen in this class, maybe 3 if it's the right fit. But that's like always the case with every position. But right now you have Raynor Andrews, Kenny Jones. I know there's speculation that Judah Pruitt's going to be an offensive lineman, but everyone I've talked to that's very, very close to the program has told me defensive tackle to start. I think that's a mistake personally because I think he's a better offensive lineman, but to each their own. I mean, whatever. So we'll wait and see there what kind of happens. But yeah, two solid linemen. I think Kenny Jones is a good guard. I think this guy could play guard or tackle, so you probably want to lean more towards a tackle prospect going forward, but maybe Jack Hines.
Yeah, no, I know that's a guy that you've talked about for a long time is possibly being a lean towards Rutgers. Did he visit this past weekend, or is he visiting in the next few weeks?
Yeah, next weekend. There's only 2 official visit weekends for Rutgers. They're keeping it strictly to 2 for summer, so they're going to jam pack everyone in between these 2 weeks. So he will be here this upcoming weekend.
Gotcha. But we alluded to two other commitments, and ironically, they both also go to Miami Norland High School. It is Rutgers has had some good luck with twins in the past, from the McCourty
Yes.
brothers to the Merrills. I think there was one other set of twins,
Not
but
twins, but the Melton brothers.
yeah, the Meltons, their siblings, yeah.
Hmm.
So I mean, I know Rivals occasionally has like the all name prospects, like they'll do that article like every couple years, and
Yeah.
these two are contenders for that next all name article. So, like I
Yeah,
said,
not
twin
kidding.
brothers Tyclean Luman and Tycoolhill Luman. They're both defensive linemen. They're both listed at 6'4",
Hmm.
around 235 to 240. No shit, 235 to 240 pounds. Tell us a little bit about these two. These are also kids who are transplants. They're originally from Canada.
Hmm.
So just tell us about what we're getting in these two.
Yeah, I mean, they seem like they're solid prospects. High motor kids. I know after talking to some people, they basically said these kids were a package deal from day one. Didn't matter where they went. Um, yeah, so they also actually have the same advisor down in Miami. So they actually played at Jackson. Actually, technically, they played 2 years ago at Miami International Academy. Then they played at Miami Jackson High School. Now they're going to Miami Norland High School for their fourth and final year. Um, I think one's better than the other. I think it's Tycoolhill is the little bit better one. But yeah, no, I mean they seem like solid kids. I don't think they do anything crazy well, but they're pretty good edge rushers. And yeah, I mean I just think these are solid gets. Like they got speed on the edge. They need to learn again. They need to learn stuff because they're originally from Canada. It's a totally different game up there. You don't get taught all this stuff from day one, and then you went to an high school to start, and then an high school second. Now you're going to go to a much better high school. So again, this is where we're going to get to gauge these guys a little bit better and see how good they really are against a better competition. Um, it's not the end of the world when you play shitty comp, but it definitely makes a difference. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, in terms of recruitment wise, they beat out a lot of schools. I don't know how many of those are committable or not, but I know the fact that they were a package deal kind of hurt their recruitments a little bit because if they're not going to willing to take two scholarships up for kids, it's kind of it's tough. I know the main competition going into this weekend was Louisville and Pittsburgh. Those were the other two official visits they had scheduled. Now they obviously got canceled. But yeah, I mean, good gets for Marquise Watson. It's just Florida kids. I'm always iffy about. I don't know how much solidly committed these would be. I know they are committed. Like no one expected them to commit going into this weekend. So put it like that.
Interesting.
So that's why this was a pleasant surprise for the staff, and you're not going to say no to these kids. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I think in general, I'd say that historically, Rutgers has had about a 50% retention rate of Florida kids who commit before the season. It's just it's just the way that things are down there. So
The way of
these
the
kids,
world.
you'll just have to kind of keep track of. Not saying they're not solidly committed right now, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just the way it is in Florida.
Yeah,
You always gotta be. You hope you could just hold on to them.
yeah. You're going to have to keep recruiting these kids all the way through January or December or whatever they're signing. December, yeah, duh. Yeah, someone asked if they're like, "Hey, you think you're signing in December?" And I'm like, let's just put this out there. If you're not signing in December and you're committed, you're not committed anymore. You're
Yeah.
going somewhere else more likely. So you have to sign in December pretty much if you're a commit. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, I mean, no matter what, most of these guys are gonna sign in December. You'll have the occasional like the Chimdionas who Rutgers was pursuing last class who lets it go all the way to February. But yeah, no, this is no, but solid gets overall for Watson. He's having a quietly good recruiting cycle right now.
Yeah, I think you'll start to see more lower level kids not sign in that opening window because, like you saw with Chimdi Ona, and similarly with like Cam Spencer, like once the field gets narrowed down a lot, if you're still available, you become that much more valuable. So Chimdi Ona, he was a good prospect, but he ended up getting like how many high Power Five offers by the end of his recruitment when
Yeah,
he's
he had
fairly
like
dead for most of it.
Penn State, Nebraska, Maryland all came in. Rutgers came in right before December.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pittsburgh, a bunch of others too. But yeah, no, that's kind of the way of recruiting pretty much.
Yep. So is there anything else about any of these three commitments that we didn't cover that you wanted to touch on before we move on?
Yeah, I got to get rid of this dog toy. This dog toy is loud as hell. What do you call it? Yeah, I bought her one of those antlers, and that thing just across the hardwood floor, dude. It's miserable, and my neighbors probably hate me, but oh well. So if you're watching this, neighbors, I'm sorry. But other than that, no, not really much. I know Benjamin Black was on campus. He's one to keep a close eye on. I don't believe he has any other official visits. Actually, going into the weekend, I actually saw Noah Shaw, Benjamin Black, and Evan Taylor all committing to Rutgers personally. Now, Evan Taylor, I believe, has 2 other visits. I think Noah Shaw has 2 other visits as well. I'm sorry. Evan Taylor has I'm mixing their names up. Evan Taylor has 1 other visit to Nebraska in 2 weeks. Not this weekend, but 2 weekends from now. And then Noah Shaw, I think, had East Carolina scheduled, which I didn't really see as a threat, but it could be as simple as Rutgers getting him to campus, getting a look at him, and being like, all right, maybe he's not as tall as we thought, so maybe we should just pass real quick. So sometimes that happens. Like, it's not like a simple yes and no situation. Like, you got to get these kids to campus, look at what their height and weights are. You get them accurately measured now because they're on campus. So that always helps. Like, it could be like some of these kids, I'm like, all right, I got a future cast in. He's ready to go. He wants to commit. I know for a fact he wants to commit. He told me he wants to commit. I have the commitment quotes. And then all of a sudden he gets to campus, and then Rutgers is like, oh, we're going to take him. We're going to take him. And then it's like, gets to campus, and it's like, ooh, maybe not. Like, maybe we're not taking him. Another situation with defensive line. Like, how many spots do you really have left realistically? I know I'm saying you got to recruit these kids all the way through, but I want to say maybe 2 spots left. So that's where it gets a little tricky. And you got what, 2, 3 if it's the right person, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, how many? 5 linemen coming next week. So it's going to be tough.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just have to see how this upcoming weekend goes. I'm sure we'll have a preview pod for all the players who are going to visit. I'm sure there'll be more news that breaks this week, because it seems to have been a steady stream this May and this June. But switching over to basketball, there was a big time basketball recruit visiting as well in 2024 4-star wing Bryce Dortch. I know it sounded like this was like he wanted to come have his family take a look at the campus because he was really high on Rutgers. The kid we've been recruiting for years now. How did his visit go, and where do you think Rutgers stands in his recruitment?
I think it went pretty well. From what I heard, I talked to a couple sources. I'm trying to pull up the my notes real quick. I told the visit went really good, and they went as far as to say it was great. Some a source close to the program feels very confident about him. His family really loved the visit, from what I was told. It doesn't sound like anything's like 100% lock or anything, but he doesn't have any other visits planned right now. I think it was Virginia Tech is pushing for one, but I don't think they're going to get one. But I really think that they ended up landing this kid. It might be another like Lathan Somerville situation where you kind of wait a little bit. Still hasn't taken any visits, and it's like he knows where he wants to go. It's just more of like, all right, I know people at our boards were asking me, saying, "Hey, like, is he committing? What's going on?" And it's like, all right, sometimes they don't commit immediately. Like sometimes they want to go home, talk to their family, and he's also at a prep school. I don't know if it's a prep school. It's one of those like boarding academy schools or whatever. Mm-hmm. I know it's one of those where he lives away from home. So this might be a situation where it's just like, hey, let's go back to school. Let me finish the school year. Then let me go talk to my parents and like, all right, what did you guys think? Did you like it? I liked it a lot. That's my second time here, blah, blah, blah. And then you lock him in then. And that could be as simple as that. And I really think Rutgers has a really, really good shot at him right now. So we'll wait and see what happens. But you get him, and then you get a certain Dylan Harper in number 1 class right there.
Yeah, no, especially with Elliot Kudo reclassifying to 23.
That helps.
That helps a lot because North Carolina had seemingly an insurmountable lead at number 1 in the class of 2024, outside of us landing like 4 4-star kids.
Mm-hmm.
So looking like a 4-person class, ideally. Is that kind of what your read is for the 2024 class for basketball?
4, maybe 5, depending on who the fifth is. Like if a fifth player wanted to come in, I can't see him saying like, "No, get out of here! Like you get out of here, you top 50 recruit. We don't need you." Like, no,
Yeah.
well, thank you. Like,
Yep.
yeah. So there's that. I think if the right person was to want to jump on board, they would do it in a heartbeat. Like there's no questions really. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think, despite how well we are recruiting recently, Pike is still not in a position to turn down top 100 kids
yeah,
if they
no.
want to come here, especially ones that Pike vibes with, because none of these kids are making it to campus for a visit if Pike doesn't feel like they're a fit
Yeah,
in the
never.
program. So yeah. All right. So TBD, you're still feeling really good about it, but a lot of buttons to be buttoned up potentially at home for Bryce Dortch.
Yeah, of course.
I know that there was a lot of news this weekend, but that's kind of like all I've got. Is there anything you wanted to bring up before we head out today?
Yeah, we could talk about the 2023 target. I didn't expect them to pursue a guard, but I guess if the right prospect pops up, they'll pursue him. So Joey Hart out of Linton Stockton High School, Linton, Indiana, former UCF signee, got released from his letter of intent. Shot 41% from three, which that's like Cam Spencer good numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like he's visiting Kentucky this week coming up, or this. I guess we're already in this week. It's Monday. Yeah, so he's visiting Kentucky this week. Rutgers and Indiana are the other two schools in the main mix. Sounds like he's all Kentucky all the way. There's no real way around it. But he's a big hustle player too. He seems like a really good player from what I was watching. I know I watched a couple tapes on him. One was against a Purdue commit. I forget what his name was. Shit. I had it pulled up in front of me too. But he's like a lights out shooter, man. He can shoot shit out of the ball. Quick release, solid form. Like I'm trying to pull it up in the background a little bit too, but and he has range. Like it's not like he's just shooting like from like just at the outside of the arc. He's like almost a half court hitting these things. That's why a lot of teams want him. Like, or I guess the big teams want him. But good for Rutgers for being in the mix with schools like Indiana, Kentucky on all these recruits, and then holding off Duke last week for Ace Bailey, which I guess we didn't talk about. We could talk about that too. Yeah, Ace Bailey or Duke reached out to Ace Bailey a month ago, and he basically said like, "Nah, we're good."
Like, really? And I wonder if that's primarily because they knew how close Dylan and Ace had gotten.
Yeah, that's kind of, I wouldn't shock me, but the fact that you're just telling Duke like, "Hey, get out of here. What do you think you're doing, loser? You're old school." Blue bloods and new bloods. I don't know. Maybe Rutgers might get into that new blood category. I don't think they're there yet, but they're getting close.
They're close.
Maybe
in
not,
the sense,
but they're.
Yeah, I know that they're close in the sense that if they make one big run with these 5-star kids, I think Sweet 16 run on top of Ace and Dylan, hypothetically going in like the top, in the lottery. I think that would be a huge boost. I saw a great quote from Russ Wood, who said a guy like Dylan would be like Obi-Wan for Rutgers. He would mean more to the program after he's gone than when he's here, in the sense that, if he does develop into a James Harden level player, that's way more important for Rutgers than, his 1 year contribution on the banks, because that you can recruit with for decades. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I mean, if you get 2 lottery picks, not even lottery picks, if we're talking like 2 potential top 10 picks.
Yeah. Yep.
For Rutgers, like, I'm not. I mean, it sounds like I'm saying it like with like a side eye, but it's like they've never done this before. Like this would be absolutely insane. Like,
yep.
Well, think about it. Quincy Doobie was what? Not even lottery, I don't think. And they were
he wasn't. He
selling
was
him
close.
like,
I think he went like 18th.
Yeah, and they were using him as a sales pitch for God knows how long. And that was like, hey, we got first rounder, and now it's like, hey, we got 2 top 10 picks. And with the NBA being more popular today than it like ever was, I guess, that'd be huge for Rutgers. If you just watch the playoffs this year, it's like at all-time high ratings-wise, I believe. If you just watch, imagine Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey out there just balling in the playoffs, and you're just sitting here like, yeah, we coached those guys. Like, we kind of developed them actually. Yep. Like,
yep,
it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it'd be huge.
We'll wait and see what happens, but that's I'm still confident. I'm like really confident in the Dylan thing, but
yep.
And then Dortch, if you can get him, that's a nice piece. He'll be here for a couple years. You get obviously Ace and Dylan are probably one and dones. Lathan Summerville is probably a 4-year player, but he's a good prospect in his own right. And you just build on that. You go to 2025, Darius Adams. That's the only really big name target I could think of. Maybe Matt Gilhul. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correct, but yeah, there's this is basketball's fun.
Yeah, no, it's a great time to be a Rutgers fan for sure.
Yeah, we're talking basketball in June.
Talking basketball in June. I mean, summer practices start up soon, so it's not too early for it.
That is true. Clarify that one as well, I guess. They were supposed to, or Ace was supposed to visit, not this past weekend, the weekend before. He ended up not visiting. Talked to a source close to his family. Basically told me as soon as Jamichael Davis moves in, Ace is probably going to spend I told you guys all this already. He's going to spend a month in New Jersey. I believe Gavin Griffiths moves in this week. And I think Jamichael Davis is either this weekend or the weekend after. It's one of those two. And then Ace is going to come with him, help him move in. I don't know what the plan is officially, but I know Ace is going to hang out with him, whether it be just for a weekend and go back to Tennessee or he's got the Team USA camp too. So there's that. But
yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on in Ace's world. But from what I know is I was told a lot of people are talking shit on the AAU circuit saying like, yeah, Ace doesn't play EYBL, blah, blah, blah. So there's a rumor out there that ALT might be joining the EYBL for a Peach Jam.
Interesting. That'd be
because they're independent, so they're allowed to. So he might just go do Peach Jam, and that might be done. Other than that, it sounds like maybe one more AAU event or tournament for them, and then they're done for the summer. It's not like a typical AAU program where they're going to run every single circuit. Also, I think Ace is just going to get into training mode, and he's going to get ready. I know like some people are like, I can't wait to see what Ace does his senior year. But from what I was told, is Ace is like, yeah, I've done all this at the high school level. I can't wait to get to Rutgers. He's all Rutgers all the way. So you guys can stop panicking. Whoever's freaking out saying like, we need this kid to sign. He's not going to sign. Like he's signing. Trust me.
Yeah, and it's I know that this isn't me speculating. I know that there had been discussions about him possibly reclassifying. Those were put to bed, which would have been nice to get him for 2 years instead of one, hypothetically. But
yep.
1 year is better than 0 as well.
Yeah, so shut that down. He's good to go.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. And I imagine we're going to probably have some more commitments in the next coming days and weeks, given how many kids are visiting. So stay tuned to your podcast feed. Stay tuned to the board. Stay tuned on YouTube, if that's where you're listening, or your podcast feed if you're listening on your phone. But for me and Richie, this has been another edition of the Night Report Podcast, signing off.